Joining us now on the line is our legal analyst, Joe DiGenova. Happy New Year to you, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's beautiful out here in Palm Springs.
Oh, you're in Palm Springs.
You know what? We don't even want to hear it.
What's the temperature in Palm Springs?
Well, it's wonderful out here. We're visiting an old friend, Mrs. Jean Autry, Jackie Autry, the widow of Jean Autry.
Right. Oh, man.
Victoria and I are out here. We come out every year.
A man who made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer famous.
And in their beautiful living room here, there is a gigantic model of Rudolph, and his nose flashes.
There you go. Well, listen, let's get on to the discussion of the day. I want to start out with the fact that the Obama administration announced some new executive actions on gun background checks. Now, once again, it seems that the Obama administration is doing things through executive order, Joe.
Well, the president has a penchant, as you well know, for doing things without the consent or even consultation with Congress. This is a series of things that the Justice Department released on Friday night, which appear to be, in some instances, beyond their authority to do so. They issued some clarifications, for example, as to what it means to be a person committed to a mental institution. And it doesn't cover people who have been committed to have gone through any type of process. It's a bizarre set of regulations. I will say this about it. At least they have started to deal with the real problem, which is not legitimate gun owners, but people who have mental illness problems and who are universally the ones responsible for the mass shootings, not people who are legally owning registered guns and have no problem with the law. So at least this is a step in the right direction, dealing with the seriously mentally ill.
It is a step in the right direction. I mean, I think most people will agree with you. Okay, maybe not necessarily a horrible idea, but again, it's the way they go about it.
Yeah.
Without going to Congress, without having a discussion, just boom, we know best.
Well, this is the way he's going to govern for the remainder of his presidency. He's already thrown down markers. As you can see from his Saturday address, where he accused the Republicans of obstructionism again, he's decided that his poll numbers are so bad that the only thing he can do in order to try to accomplish anything is to continue to do what he does best: demonize somebody, make somebody the enemy, tear them down, change the subject, and for heaven's sakes, don't talk about his failings. We shall see whether or not the American people remain that stupid after 5 years of this guy.
Well, and Joe, and this is the kind of thing, it's so frustrating because this is the kind of thing, these new rules and regulations regarding the mentally ill and gun ownership, this is the kind of thing that he could have had bipartisan agreement on. This is probably something that he could have gotten through the House and the Senate if that was his intention. Instead, he just unilaterally does it. And also, Joe, what about HIPAA? Can they just rewrite the HIPAA rules? This is a law that was passed by Congress.
Yeah, these are the so-called hospital and medical privacy rules, which Congress enacted to protect the privacy information, medical information of American citizens, and he cannot rewrite them. Probably most of what he is doing in that regard is distinctly illegal, but that will not stop them. They have taken a very wide view of presidential executive power. Rather remarkable under the circumstances, the kind of things they used to accuse Republican presidents of all the time.
Yes.
And you will note how silent people like Henry Waxman, the defender of the realm, are about all these things.
And Patrick Leahy,
Henry, by the way, has disappeared since Obamacare, which is his baby, has been imploding. Henry is nowhere to be found, not even in Beverly Hills, where we were the other night. We couldn't find him.
Wait, that's his district.
That's right. He wasn't even at Mr. Chow's.
Joe, can I ask you about this case of the nuns? Now, and we do, as I mentioned, we have Daniel Blumberg of the Beckett Fund coming up in the next hour. But, Joe, if you can give us your perspective on it as our legal analyst.
Well, I think what's happened here, this is a very interesting case. The Little Sisters of the Poor of Colorado, and you believe suing them, the Little Sisters of the Poor of Colorado have said, you cannot make us sign a waiver. As you know, the administration reached what it called an accommodation by allowing religious-affiliated institutions to sign waivers. But the Little Sisters are saying, wait a minute, we're not going to sign that waiver, because if we sign that waiver, we become complicit in the provision of abortifacients and abortions and birth control, which is contrary. So we're not going to sign it, even though we don't have to provide it. The insurance company we work with, which, by the way, is a Catholic insurance company. It's the Christian Brothers. It's another religious order. So they are insured by another religious order, and they're saying you cannot make us do that. That's on its way to the Supreme Court, and Justice Sotomayor is the one who issued a rare injunction against that order going forward.
Yeah, were you surprised by that?
I was not, and I'll tell you why. The Sotomayor, of course, is a Roman Catholic. She also used to be a prosecutor, and she's got some relatively conservative instincts in certain areas. And I think she's probably more of a Catholic than she is a jurist. And I think this one got to her.
Don't go after the little sisters of the poor. No, that's not good optics.
Absolutely, Larry. I think this was almost instinctive.
Hey, Joe, can I ask you, though, did you read the Department of Justice's response on Friday? I found it to be incredibly condescending, and really, I don't even have time for this. It was sort of the response.
I did, and I must tell you, I think it was exactly that, Larry. I think but you know why? Why are we surprised that people who so arrogantly debase the Constitution by executive usurpation of constitutional authority wouldn't be dismissive of people who they think are not as smart as they are? I think there is a hostility toward Christianity in this administration, if not religion in general, and they show it with some ease, and it's quite disturbing. I think the way you described it was it was just really something that I would have been ashamed to file with the Supreme Court.
So you're out there in Palm Springs having a little vacation, and you probably how many days you been there, Joe?
We arrived here on the 30th up in L.A.
All right, so you've been there a few days, and you know when it comes time to come back, would you contemplate leaving Victoria Tunsing behind
for a birthday present?
As a birthday present, perhaps.
Victoria will be traveling with me back to Washington this coming Thursday, and that's a pretty interesting story about Michelle Obama.
It is, isn't it?
Staying back in Hawaii, costing the American people millions of dollars. Actually, it's going to be a big ticket number for her to stay behind, given security and everything else. It's actually somewhat amazingly inconsiderate of the American people. But you know what? There are no rules for the Obamas, none whatsoever.
All right, Joe DiGenova, it's always good to have you on a Monday. You get us going.